Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight I wanted to express some of the progress that I've made in building and developing skeletal metrics. Skeletal metrics is going to be a system of folders and of many different functionalities that are going to be utilized in order to express the content of a hard drive in new ways. Now, that's going to be a part of skeletal metrics. But skeletal metrics is more about just creating three-dimensional grid systems so that you can use that to launch different functions or to represent folder systems or to understand organic shapes better. So there's a bunch of different functionalities. So the skeletal matrix, so far this is all the files that I've written trying to develop it. Now these are not all finished. Most of them are under development, meaning that I'll work a little bit on it and then work to something else, and it's progress, incremental progress in a bunch of different directions. The reason why I have so many different files is because skeletal metrics is going to be a very large idea and it requires different parts to be functional independently of one another. So it's better to create them in multiple files so that I don't have to write one super long piece of code. So I'm working on each part individually until they function. Now, I made some significant progress today that I wanted to share, and we'll go over this in a minute. This significant progress is with respect to the prism creation for folder representation, this one. And what's the other one? The other one that I made a lot of progress on is the skeletal system shortcut logic, which is beautiful. You'll see them in just a minute. So let's go back in here. I already loaded the scripts into Blender so I can launch them. So the first thing is going to be to demonstrate the create prism from folder. Now I'm going to go ahead here and click this, and then it's going to ask me for a folder path. So what it asks me is basically what folder do you want represented in the three-dimensional perspective or the skeletal metric system. Now the folder I want represented is this one over here. So you can see the content here that is laid out in a traditional two-dimensional perspective. Now I want to point out that the two-dimensional perspective, from my point of view, is an old system that will be completely revolutionized by this new method. And I'll show you why my system is an advancement as compared to this one. It's very simple. So if I have this file over here, you can see that this folder has 39 items, and if I stretch the folder view like this window for the folder, from top to bottom, I cannot see all 39 elements. I can only see a fraction of them, and then I have to scroll down to see the difference. Now, most of you are accustomed to this and think it is the only way to represent files. However, it is not the case, and I'll show you why this method is inferior to the one I propose. Now, if I want to access the content of these folders, I have to click on the folder, and then I will have a list. Now, each of these folders have about 100 files within them, and if I want to see the 100 file, you can see now I see the first one, 7301, all the way to 7337, and I cannot see further than that, so I don't know where the file ends. I have to scroll down in order to find the last file, and that's because in a two-dimensional reality it is not possible for me to lay out all the information in the space of my screen. I run out of space, and so I need to use and depend on scroll bars and folder structures because there's simply too many elements to list. Now if I go over here and I go another folder, then there's another list of files that I have to scroll through in order to assess completely. And you can see here, this is another way to lay out the information in a two-dimensional fashion that my computer is not capable of expressing all the content of the file within this window size. So I have to scroll up and down, and I have to access the file, meaning I have to negate all the previous content here so that I can see the folder content. Although this is a traditional way and it's been functional, I believe that it's time to make a step forward in the way this folder architecture is designed. So I want to bring it into three-dimensional space. Okay, so to do this, I've developed this create prism from folder function that will express the content of this folder in different ways. So let's jump into Blender and see it in action. So this is the folder path, so this is what it will represent. So I'll click OK here to validate. And then It will take some time because I have to let you know I've checked the number of file that is part of the little folder that I showed you, and there's 749 items in the folder. So that's why it takes a little bit of time to create. So these 750 items, you can see them over here. So all of them, or the content of the folder, you can see them expressed in these lines here. Now notice how it's actually taken a relatively small amount of space. If you consider the vastness of this three-dimensional space, this is actually a very small area. And all of the file that I was trying to express on my two-dimensional window here, so all the content of these folders is laid out here. And so I can see all of them at a glance, meaning that if I want to select the last one of each folder, I can simply go hover over here and I can select them like this. Now the way to select these things will evolve over time. I have other files that are going to be angled or aimed towards improving the selection systems, but so that's going to happen at a later point. For now, the beautiful step that I made today, you can see the display of the content of these folders in a way that is more architecturally sound. And I use architecture here because the way it is laid out enables you to see more objects than the traditional two-dimensional way. And this is the exhaustive list, and you can see it on the screen, and you can navigate around it and select which one you want. Now the next step in this is going to me to make them responsive, meaning that I can associate the file path to each cube. So presently you can see here in the outliner that each object does retain the name of the file, and it is named according to its name. So I did retain the name. Now I'm going to have to also record the file path so that I can launch each of these objects utilizing this new file system. Now I haven't done that part yet. That's still in the works. But I did accomplish the shortcut logic to some initial stages. So right now this shortcut tab here, the add application path, this one is already online, and it allows me to give a file path to these cubes that I can then launch using shift and space. So I already have assigned a couple of cubes here. The thing is I can't use it with the other one because it utilizes the file name appendix, the cube name, sorry, appendix, as you can see in the outline here, and then it utilizes the value here. This is the index, the three numbers over here, the index position in the cube. So I can find the cubes if they were to move, say because of an animation or something like that. So that's why I can't do that with the folder structure yet, but I'll figure it out soon enough. Anyway, so because the shortcut and the launching functions utilizes the word appendix and the index in order to recognize the file path and the cube in question, I cannot apply it to the folder system, but they're still functional. So I've set two different cubes here with different files. So if I click on this one here, this one is set to launch a window with the VLKB recordings, and this one just above is used to launch the actual MP4. So if I select this one and hit shift and space, you'll see it launches a window with the associated folder. So that's already functional. And then this one here, which is associated to one of the videos, when I click shift and space, it will launch the video that is associated with it. Now, just to show you how this works, I'm going to go up here and I'm going to select a new one. Say I want to use the this folder. I want to open this folder when I click on it. So I'm going to select it. Oh, sorry. I'm going to select it like this, then copy path. Then I'm going to go here, select the cube that I want to associate it with. Then I'm going to paste the path, and I'm going to remove the quotation marks, and then hit OK. Now you can see here in the custom property that the application path was added. So now when I click on it and I hit shift space, then I get this window to open. So I'm basically using Blender not only as an animation tool, but as a mechanism to realize a new level of folder architecture. I'm going to be working on the parameters of all this so that you will be able to see. Basically, my objective is to lay out the content of an entire hard drive in a format that you can witness like this. So at the moment, you cannot see, it is not possible for you to see all the files on your computer. You have to go one folder at a time and then negate all the other ones. So what my objective is to create a file in Blender that will enable me to see all the content of my hard drive in a structured format so that I can understand what is what and that there's a logical place for each object to exist. It's not just a random conglomeration of cubes, but rather a structured library that expresses the content of your hard drive with more clarity and and utilizes more, how to say, utilizes depth in order to express more of what the computer is actually doing. So this is a beautiful step forward. Thank you for your time and attention. That's going to be it for today. I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you soon.